Hey everybody, I'm at Fender's HQ in Covent Garden in London today with Billy Martinez, who is VP of Acoustic and Squire Guitars from Fender. And we're talking about some new acoustics. So it's lovely to see you again, Billy.
Good to see you too.
You'll be pleased to know that the guy using the jackhammer next door has stopped for 2 minutes, but I can't guarantee he won't start again in this interview, so I apologise. Billy's going to tell us about some new features on the new guitars, and Pete's going to play them. So let's start with this one. What do we have here?
So this is a new addition to the California series. It's called the Monterey Standard. Very focused on the new beginner player, with special features like a slimmer neck, more narrow string spacing, a much smaller body, more comfort, and just basically designed for easy to play. It also comes with a new preamp system that's our Fender branded, which carries a tuner. So all encompassing for a beginner player, great guitar.
That is a beautiful looking kind of mahogany style guitar. I like it very much. Looking forward to hearing this. Okay, next up we have got some pretty cool improvements to the Player series. You may be familiar with these three basic shapes, Malibu, Newporter and Redondo, all my favorite beaches in the world. But what have you done to Player series to upgrade them?
So we made some small, what I'd call quality of life improvements on them. First off, starting with the tilt back headstock. That currently exists in the Special line right now and Classic. We chose to bring this down, change the break angle, more sustain, again, quality of life improvements. We also added a new preamp system. So we've got volume, tone control, and we've got phase on it as well. And then the last but not least, but we're changing out some of the color variations that Player series is known for. But this time around, we're focusing more on color tops, and we're keeping the beauty of the natural back and sides look to it. So
I've always liked the Fender headstock on your acoustic guitars. I kind of think it makes them stand out. I don't fully really understand on an acoustic guitar how affecting the break angle. So just so you know, that's kind of the pitch that the headstock tilts back after the, forcing the strings then to go over the nut at an angle. What happens to the sound of a guitar then as you change the pitch?
Well, usually when you're changing the pitch on this, it allows for more sustain within the instrument. The more tension on it, there's a little bit more volume to it as well. So it's more about the playability of it, but also the tonal characteristics that it offers you.
Cool. And presumably there's a balance between going too far and then maybe having tuning problems and stuff.
Correct.
So you're always trying to get that perfect point.
Yeah,
cool.
Too far on a break angle, you're going to start breaking strings and having all kinds of other issues. So
that is a cool feature. Well, let's see what Pete makes of these. So we've got a couple more guitars in the player series before we move on. A 12-string and a bass. This is unusual, 12-string, because it's a slightly smaller body shape than you perhaps might normally expect on a more of a jumbo 12-string. So tell me about this.
So in true fashion of what we've been trying to do, especially as you get into the player series stuff, is a little bit easier to play, a little bit more comfortable. So what we chose to do, which the Villager 12-string exists currently in the line, but what we decided to do was make some changes. So a new body shape that has a little bit slimmer waist. We took away the cutaway. Nobody needs to be slaying on a 12-string to that extent. So no cutaway necessary. But the rest of the aesthetic features really follow through with where the guitar's been at. We also decided to go with the vintage top, the vintage natural top, which I think pays great homage to like an old Villager 12-string, which is exactly what we were trying to do.
It's massively noticeable that the neck is slim and the action is low. I've been playing some 12-string electrics recently, just in other videos, and you need a comfy neck and a low action on a 12-string, unless you've got hands like the Incredible Hulk. And then a cool looking 4-string bass as well. Yeah,
so not a lot of changes to this. It currently exists in the line. It's the Kingman acoustic bass. Has the Presys system over here, and then just changed a little bit of the color. But overall, this has been a winner for us in the acoustic bass world. So we didn't really want to, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Just give it some quality of life updates. So, yeah.
And there's another bass coming up that you absolutely need to see, and it's not what you think it's going to be. Just when you, as a guitar player or a bass player, thought you owned every single guitar you could possibly need, Fender go and do some crazy ukes. Now, we've seen these three before, right, in different colors. Is it just colors that are different now, or if these are other upgrades?
So for the Fullerton series, we chose to just do a complete color refresh. But stick to true Fender electric colors. What we found is people, even who are electric players who may not think they want a ukulele, they find their matching uke to their actual electric guitar, and they're super into it. So it's been fun to see the adoption there as well.
Actually, in all fairness as well, it's a bonkers uke range, because what you've decided not to do here is just go in at the really low end and just do like a novelty thing.
Right.
They're really nicely made and perfectly good ukuleles. What you've not seen before, though, and this is possibly the coolest thing I've seen all day, is a P-Bass kind of version uke. And the detail on this, even down to designing strings that are kind of appropriate for this, is nuts. So tell us about the bass uke.
So when we sat down and originally decided to launch the Fullerton ukuleles, there was always in the background a decision to kind of go after that uke bass market, but do it in a way that was very Fender, true to the brand. So what we chose to do was design a P-Bass uke. Very exciting. The electronics in it are super focused for bass playing. So they're not the exact same replica of what you've got in the regular ukes. One of the key things, though, is the strings. For us, what we wanted to do in order to stay closer to the P-Bass is those are nickel wound nylon strings.
Yeah.
So allowing the tension of the strings to not destroy the uke bass, but also give it that bass vibe and feel. And it's great. It's honestly, we found that it as a standalone instrument, it's great, but it also cuts through even for bass players in an acoustic set. So
it's immediately noticeable. Now, I'm no bass player and even less of a uke player, but when I've seen this kind of thing before, they've got those rubber strings on them.
Yeah.
And it's like playing a guitar with elastic bands on it. It's, it's got no tension. It's got a unique sound that I don't particularly like. But like you say, if you put bass strings on here, you just instantly destroy the guitar. So I liked your description of just saying, imagine like a really thick set of classical guitar strings, essentially. And it just works. It's got the right tension. It's got the right sound. It's not a P-Bass, it's a uke P-Bass, right? It's just, Anyway, you should check these out. These are great fun. So these are the California Special range, and I must admit I'm immediately drawn to a couple of visual things on this. The open pore top looks beautiful. The maple reveal binding is gorgeous. But what else have you done new on California Special?
So again, these already exist in the California Series line. So a little bit of quality of life. Mainly, you'll see that there is a new electronic system that we've got on these. So just like on the player, we upgraded the electronic system. We've done the same here. So you've got volume and phase, you've got tone, but you also have a blend knob. So the difference in these as you step up from player to special is they have the piezo pickup under the saddle, but they also have a body sensor transducer pickup.
Right.
So it's similar to some of the things that we've done with Acoustasonic and some of our other guitars. Now you've got the ability to blend not just your piezo pickup, but also the transducer pickup. So.
Do you get this model in a Malibu shape as well as Newporter and Redondo? Or
you do. You get them in
so
all
you can have
three
the smaller
shapes.
body shape as well if you want. That is a lovely, lovely looking guitar. We have saved the best till last. My brain cannot decide whether I want to go Johnny Cash. I know it's not quite the right size for him, but that kind of classic gloss black acoustic guitar, or this beautiful cherry sunburst kind of, I don't know, I've always been a sucker for that kind of hummingbird kind of vibe, and it sort of reminds me of that color. Or you can just, the natural with the gold hardware, the slightly sort of Art Deco style pick guard. I mean, it's just a beautiful looking guitar. So what series are we on now?
So this is a brand new series that we're launching with in the California series. This is called the Vintage. Really where our focus has been on is over the course of the past few years, we've noticed a surge in old, used, vintage, early 60s Fender Acoustics. The price is going through the roof. And we've been wanting to do this for quite a while. So what this will be is, this will be the new offering at the very top end of California. So you're gonna get things in true vintage style, which is, you know, blocks and binding on the neck, the maple head cap, the older style headstock, and then some, again, electronics are a huge thing as we move forward and refresh our series. In true vintage fashion, you'll have your sound hole controls. One of them will be a volume control, and the other is a blend knob. So it's very similar in as much as it will have the piezo pickup, but it also has the under saddle transducer to pick up all of the top movement. The other key thing here is we adjusted the bracing to really accentuate the guitar. So we have more of a Performance X brace built into this. So overall, the entire package has been redone from head to toe. One of the other things that we decided to do in order to preserve the vintage aesthetics is we actually have a version of each of these guitars in our Hollywood office that we did 3D imaging of, so we could maintain the true vintage aesthetic, but update all to modern feature set and playability.
I'm curious, I mean, let's just finish off on specs-wise. Are we into the territory now of an all-solid
We are,
guitar?
so these are all solid.
Great. I mean, it's beautiful, beautiful timbers. I mean, I'm assuming if this wasn't gloss black, it would look like that underneath. Now, tell me, people will all know about Strats, Tellys, guitar amplifiers. The acoustic world, I think, for anybody that's maybe, you know, a bit younger, so I say, you know, even under like 40, 50 years old or younger, probably aren't going to know much about the heritage of Fender Acoustics from back in the day.
Right.
So tell me about that sort of vintage Fender acoustic thing. What you know, again, I didn't even realize there was such a thing as like a vintage Fender acoustic.
Yeah, so when Fender first started designing acoustics, Roger Rossmeisel had come into the company and had that conversation with Leo and basically said, listen, I'm going to start building acoustic guitars for you. Didn't have the conversation, just said, this is what I'm going to do. So when he first started building 6-in-a-line headstock version of an acoustic guitar, there were a lot of things that he took from the electric builds and tried to incorporate it in. So you'll see some of the older vintage stuff has bolt-on necks across the back. They had a big aluminum rod that went down the center of the sound hole, which stabilized the neck to the body. But they also they were kind of a little bit overbuilt for the time. So the bracing was super thick. But you find gems when you find old, like you do with old vintage guitars. So that started happening in the early 60s, around 63 or so. So a little bit timely, right? 2023, summertime,
yeah.
We decided to come back out with these and really take what the vintage instruments were, but make them that much better. And like I said, there's a huge surge in folks buying them out there in the used market right now.
Well, I think you've done a fantastic job with this series. I think they're absolutely beautiful. I hope you've enjoyed watching Pete play them. He'll play these as well. So yeah, come down to Andertons, check them out. Thank you very much, Billy. It's great to catch up again.
Yeah.
Good luck with these, and thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in another video soon.